Welcome to the Educational Leadership Podcast with Principal JL, the place where school leaders recharge, rethink, and remember their purpose. If you're a superintendent, assistant superintendent, a principal, assistant principal, dean of students, teacher leader, or a future administrator, you're in the right place. Here we mix practical strategies with real conversations, a little wit, and a whole lot of purpose. Because leadership isn't about the title on your badge, it's the influence you carry every single day with your teachers, staff, students, and families. Our mission is simple: to inform, inspire, and to help you lead with purpose. To give you tools that actually work, stories that spark reflection, and ideas you can use the minute an episode ends. So grab that caffeinated drink, a notebook, and your growth mindset, and get ready to level up your leadership one episode at a time. Because around here, we don't aim for perfect. We aim to be 1% better every single day. Now let's get to the episode. Have you heard of the hit show, The Rules to Engagement? Have you wondered how you can leverage AI to streamline your workload as an educational leader? Well, today's guest is no stranger to both of those things. Today, I'm excited to bring back Principal Mo. Now, Principal Mo was one of my first guests that I interviewed way back, 18 months ago. And she's episode 14, so go ahead and take a listen to that episode so you can get a feel of who Principal Mo is. But at the same time, this conversation is us catching up on all the awesome things she's doing, because guess what? After that episode aired, she just blew up all over the place. She's on TikTok, Instagram. She's been a speaker at multiple conferences. She's doing the Rules to Engagement show that is produced and directed with Principal Rahh. And that is just a really great show. I would highly recommend that you check it out. She's also been somebody that has really taken AI and used it to streamline the workload that she does as an acting principal. So I hope you guys really enjoy the conversation that I have with Principal Mo as we catch up. Now let's get to the conversation with Principal Mo. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Educational Leadership Podcast. Today, I'm so excited to bring back on the show Principal Mo. Principal Mo, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, JL, for having me back. It's been so good. It's been a while, but we got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I know the last time I saw you was out in Seattle, and so
Yep.
I got to, connect with you there. But really, over the past 12 to 18 months since you've been on the show, you've kind of blown up. You've kind of done a lot of stuff out there when it comes to just being a principal, being an advocate, all the different things you're doing. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to say, hey, what have you been up to the last 12, 18 months? Because I see you all over the place now.
Yeah, so I have been a little bit of a busy bee. I feel like when we recorded your podcast session and we talked, it was just like after that I just didn't slow down. So since I talked to you last, we recorded and put out the first season of the Rules to Engagement TV show, which is a live education show that features educators, and it's myself. I am the administrative representation of the show. And then there are three other people who are teachers. And yeah, that was an experience, and in itself it is so good. And so we're in the middle of planning season 2, so we're really excited about that, to be planning and preparing to record season 2. And since we talked, I've done quite a few sessions at a host of different conferences, from our women's conference through MASSP, also the United Conference in Seattle, did a boom session there. At my state conference, actually did a session about remixing leadership and using DJing as a form of engagement. So that was fun. I've presented at the National School Board Conference twice since I've talked to you. And Knowledge Con. Knowledge Con was this past January, which was awesome. So, and I've been talking about a lot of different things: AI, leadership, transforming and kind of remixing what leadership looks like. So it's pretty awesome.
You bet. Yeah, no, and you still got your TikToks going, your Instagrams are
Yes,
going.
that's
On
that's
top
that's
of that,
always going to be going on.
that's always going, but that's like on top of the things you've been doing. Now, how did you kind of get into like the TV show, the rules of engagement? How did that come along?
It's not a normal story, so it's not like what anything anybody would think. So funny. The executive producer of the Rules to Engagement is actually Principal Amen Rahh. He is the revolutionary educator, and he is the founder and CEO of Knowledge. So I have been following him and his work for quite a while, and I actually met him in, where were we? In 2020, the 2024 United Conference in Nashville. I actually met him for the first time in Nashville in person. And so we actually got to sit down and we had a really great conversation. We sat and talked for like probably 2 hours while we were waiting for like concurrent sessions to start. And so from there we kept in touch, and he actually reached out to me because he wanted me to be more involved with Knowledge and his company. And then I had a meeting with him. He was like, I was hoping you would, be on board with this. And then I had another meeting, like not even a week later. And he was like, I want to create a TV show and you're going to be on the show. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, no, seriously. He's like, I got this girl, Alexia, and I've been talking to Shivy about doing it, and then Shivy is going to talk to this guy named CJ about doing it. But he was like, "We're going to fly you guys out to LA. You're going to record the show and all of that." And I told him he was crazy. I was like, "You're crazy. What are you talking about?" And so that was January. So it was January, and then we were all brought together for the love of knowledge. It was like it was an attendathon. So we were trying to get people to have more awareness about attendance and chronic absenteeism. And and then after that March, we filmed the first season. So
Yeah, that's
literally 2 months, and it's been a journey. And then and then ever since then it's just been, doing lives with the crew. That's what we call ourselves now. Myself, Shivy, CJ, and Alexia. And nobody knew that. I don't think anybody really knew this like prior to, but we really all didn't know each other that well. Like certain people knew each other, but like as a collective group, like we did not really know each other that well, but we really gel well together as a group and as co-hosts. So it's been really fun working with them and being in the community with them and working on season 2. So, but that's honestly how it happened.
yeah, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. And I have watched all the episodes of the rules of engagement. Don't want to get that mixed up with the movie show Rules of Engagement. The rules to engagement, the show, and it's been really fun to watch you guys kind of work together. I did watch a few of you guys' like live where you guys come together and talk about things
Mhm.
as well. And so I think, yeah, you guys have a lot of good chemistry. It's a lot of fun just to listen to the different perspectives and kind of just follow that show and the journey you got. So that's kind of cool. You guys are getting ready for season 2, so be watching out for that. And now, could you tell people what Knowledge is, like the company? Because
Mhm.
people may not know exactly what that is and kind of what Principal Ross trying to do there.
Right. So, Knowledge is a company that is set out to combat chronic absenteeism. And so it is all about rewarding, restoring, and re-engaging our students. And through gamification. So it's the AI powered gamification app. Actually, it's in the platform where you can connect students, like learning apps and things like that, and it collects their attendance data and it rewards the students, and they can actually go to an online store and select things to buy. Like they earn like essentially points, and they can go on there and buy things, but it's things they want, like Beats headphones, Jordans, you know, AirPod, like, you know, all those stuff that kids want, you know, all the new technology, gift cards, you know, Robux and all of those things, V-Bucks, all the bucks. So, and it focuses on rewarding students for coming to school and learning in school every day. So, and I know there's more that they keep developing more and more. Now they're getting into actually rewarding families for bringing students to school and things like that. So it's a really, really cool company that's really trying to combat chronic absenteeism and make schools fun again.
You bet. Yeah, no, and I kind of seen some of the advertisements they do, and I've kind of looked at it a little bit. And it's really
Hmm.
interesting, way to look at combating chronic absenteeism. And I definitely would encourage you guys to check it out if that's something you're interested in. And like you said, there's things that you know, we've done those stores before, right? Where their kids don't really want the stuff that's in those
You
stores.
know, all the stuff that's from
You know,
Oriental Trading, they don't want that.
yeah, no, they want this like the stuff you're talking about. They want an iPad. They want the Jordan.
Hmm.
They want the stuff they can go to the store or maybe they can't get, but if they know if they have good attendance and they save up their points, they could go get that themselves and earn that
Right.
for them. So I think it's a really great idea and something that is really kind of taken off probably over the last 12 to 18 months. A lot of more schools are getting involved with it from what I could see with that.
Hmm.
And I think the Rules to Engagement show is also helping that. And now you also have Knowledge Con. Is that their big conference they do?
Yes. So last year, well, not even last year. This is it's still in this year. Woo. So Knowledge Con, and it was January 2026 was the first Knowledge Con, and so we plan on having the second one in January 2027, Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. And so the first Knowledge Con was awesome. It is not like any conference I've ever been to, and I've been to like 1,000 conferences within like the last like 3 or 4 years, and it's just really different. Like, you know, if you want to just experience educators in the community in a different way and learning and just the overall engagement, would highly suggest you try to make it out to Knowledge Con.
No, I know. Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And, I would, encourage everybody to give it a shot, see what's out there. Maybe someday I can get out there. I kind of pick my conferences a little bit because I only can go to so many.
I
So
know.
when it comes down to that. So yeah, it is something that I kind of circle like, hey, maybe someday I can get to one of those down the road. With that, over the last 12 to 18 months, what are some things that you've learned like, as an educational leader to help you grow?
You know what I've actually learned is I've just learned I am a one of my growth areas that's always been delegation. It's always been like not trying to do everything. And so people often ask, like, well, how are you able to run all this social media and go to these conferences and do these things? And one thing that I've been learning is that I can trust my team to do a lot more than what they've been doing. And having them take the reins in some ways, you know, running systems and fixing systems and coming up with solutions, like, you know, they're more than capable of doing that. So it's really kind of forced me to kind of let go of some things that I just didn't need to hold on to or be responsible for anymore, and then ultimately build the capacity of members of my team.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. Explore more podcasts at www.teachbetterpodcastnetwork.com. Now let's get back to the episode.
You bet. You're talking about the team you work with every day at
Yes,
your.
my team at my school.
I'm not going. Do you have a
the
like
the
a social
the
media
the the,
team?
the, the soul gig, the first gig. Just
Yeah, the first gig, yeah, the gig where you got, and I think that you kind of talked about, hey,
Mhm.
you built systems up, so when you have to go do these other things they're fine. They're running the ship and they got everything. If something comes up, they can handle it because you
Yes.
got things in place for that. And so I think that's really great, and that's something I've had to learn. Like when I got my first principal job, I was all like scared to leave. The school's going to blow up if I leave, right? You
Right.
have that
Beyonce is going to perform in the cafeteria if I'm not there.
but then you learn once you put systems in, it's okay to go out and be able to do these things because as leaders, we got to be able to have our own professional development and sitting in our
Hmm.
office. The school isn't professional development. We got to go out.
Right.
We got to be with other people that would understand what we go through and what we do on a daily. So you have been leveraging AI a lot. I see.
Yes.
So you have a lot of content out there with AI. What has that been like? Because it sounds like you've been experimenting with some things. You
Hmm.
might be trialing some things that maybe other people can at times. But what's that journey been like going through and using these different AI tools? And how has AI help you leverage the work that you do as an administrator?
Oh my goodness. At this point, I don't want to say I don't know how to function without it because that's not true. But what I will say is that what I've been able to do just through a lot of curiosity, it has been really powerful for me in terms of getting certain things done. So before when I was like using AI, I was doing a lot of prompting and things like that. And now I've gotten into the world of automation, and I've gotten in the world of making like my own essential like making my own apps and things like that, which I have been trialing out for other people to use and thinking about how I could create applications that makes the principalship or just school leadership that, makes school leadership more sustainable, especially on the administrative side of things, because we do so we do so much paperwork.
Mhm.
It's like every other day there's something due and then we have to do it. So I've been just doing a lot of vibe coding around app development recently. So, and some of the things that I've been doing with that is creating like an AI powered Eisenhower matrix. So that will also scan your emails, figure out what you need to do, when you need to do it, who you need to delegate it to. So then it kind of takes that mental load off of you. And then it can actually like automatically notify those people, here's the task, this is what you have to get done. And then people can report back to you, like, if they've completed it or not, or if they need assistance or support. So that's one app that I've been working on. Another one is actually for conference speakers to like if you want to like know, because you don't know what conferences are out there, like the big ones, but there's a million of them. And so created another app where you can just search for different conferences that you want to speak at, and it'll pull up the RFP or the speaking application, and you can apply to speak. I mean, because you just don't know what's there. I'm also working on a scheduling and coverage app as well,
Tell me about that one.
because we're tired of playing Sudoku when we're trying to do this. 'Cause we're tired of it. Playing the Sudoku in the morning, trying to figure out who's going to cover what when people are out. When you could just literally say, "These people are not here. Create a coverage schedule for me," and it'll spit it out.
No,
You
that'd be
share it
great.
with the team
I know my administrative assistant would love that.
because that's who's doing it, and
Yeah,
she's
I mean,
spending all
well,
her time doing that.
yeah, no, and it's one of those things to where we have a system to where we rotate people around, and so we
Hmm.
just finished like we did our rough draft. So my rough draft of my master schedule is about 95% done, right? And
Yeah.
so we have it ready, but I have to wait for summer school to get the final numbers. There's a lot of other moving pieces, but for the most part, it's done. And during that time, we're trying to purposely put teachers into certain periods of the day for planning
Yep.
because we can't overload one period over another because we need to be able to spread out the love when it comes to cross coveraging in our building. And like I said before, I mean, I have 75 teachers. I have
Right.
120 adults in my building for one thing or another, but 75 of them are the teaching staff. And there's times where we have 15 people gone, and
Right.
sometimes it's just a lot going on with being a high school with all the activities, all the sick days. You know how that goes. So a part of that deal is, trying to make sure we are balancing out who's covering what, making sure that everybody's getting their turn. So if you finish that app, I want you to send it over to me
I'm
because I
gonna
want
I,
to see. I
I'm
gotta
gonna I'm
try
gonna
that
have you be
out.
my trial person.
Yeah,
For
we could
sure.
try it out, man. Like we could try it out at my high school, and we can figure out the little quirks or whatever we got to do to get that all
Yes.
ironed out. Because I think my administrative assistant would love it because then, like you said, it does take a mental load to figure those things out. And if you could have something that can just help you, and all you have to do is like just double check it. Oh, that looks good, and run
Yeah.
it.
Just
You're
send it
good
out.
to go. And send it out and be good to go. And I think that would be I would love that. I really enjoy that. I know. So the other stuff when you talk about finding conferences to speak at, there might be some people
Hmm.
out there that are interested in doing those things. That
But
would
don't know
be
where to
awesome.
start. Yep.
Yeah, like I would be me, right? I would like to do more speaking engagements, but I don't know where to start. But I don't want to
Right.
pay someone to do that because I have all these companies going, you pay us money, we'll get you gigs, but I don't want to pay you money to go get gigs.
Yeah.
Like, I've had a lot of people reach out for me on those things, and I'm like, I stay away from them because I don't trust them. So
Right.
there's my thing. I want it to be natural, right? I want to be able to like when things happen, they happen, and we go from there. But nonetheless, those are some pretty cool things. Now, what is the one tool or AI tool that you use that have helped you the most over the past year? Streamline. I mean, you
Hmm.
do a lot, I know, but if you had to pick just a couple of them, what were they and how has they helped you, streamline the job and the work you do?
Hmm. So, I mean, I always have to say ChatGPT. I know people, some people don't like it because the outputs that they get are not great, but it all depends upon what you put into it and the guardrails that you put in place. So if you don't have good guardrails and if it doesn't have a great sense of who you are, how you write and things like that, yeah, it's not going to work the best for you. But I use it so much that it can completely mimic my tone, even my humor in just different things. But ChatGPT has been great. I've created a ton of GPTs, and that's how I started before I started getting into the coding of the apps. And so I have like one GPT that helps with just like summarizing your field notes from doing an observation, and it'll spit out the glows, the grows, and just some coaching questions for you. So then that way you're more, you're not spending all of your time trying to be prepared for the meeting so that you can spend your time really doing the coaching as opposed to preparing to do the coaching. So that's like, just instructional leadership. But so chat has been really good for that. But also Gemini does something very similar. It's called Gems. So people, have told me about that. So I played with that for a little bit. But they're very similar. So it just depends on what you feel comfortable using, really. Also, Notebook LM has been really, really great when reviewing policy and different documentation. So say for example, when we're going and look at, somebody says, "Oh, this is in the union contract," and da 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 da. And usually we have to go to the PDF document, do control F, and then look for the keywords and then click through. You don't have to do that with Notebook LM. You can create a notebook and it consists of all these like very large wordy documents, and then you could just ask it a question to review those documents, and then it will give you the answer and then refer specifically to the piece of the document that where it found the answer so that it's correct.
Yeah.
So that's been really great with just like, union questions, contract questions, policy, different, so that you make sure that you're doing and saying the right thing, so that it's just a way for you to easily reference those documents. I mean, that's two. I can keep going.
I
If
know.
you want.
Oh, to be honest with you, the two that you pick are the two that I use it for. Really,
Uh-huh.
I do the same stuff. Like I figured out like a really good prompt when I come in. So what I do in my evaluations is I go in and I timestamp. Okay, at this
Mhm.
time, this is what I see. I just write down what I'm seeing. This is what
Right.
the teacher is doing. This is what the kids are doing. I'm just putting down the facts. And taking that and having to analyze that on your own is takes time. So I have created prompts or things like you said, a GPT.
Mhm.
I don't know, but I have a section where I can pull up and say, "Hey, this is the one that has my observations." Of course, I don't
Mhm.
put any identifying markers in there, so that
Right.
you don't know what teacher is what. But I could take the information and it could help me, sift through that. What are some areas? And I get down to we use the Marzano framework, and it will go
Yes.
down the Marzano framework with me, and I can go, "This is
Mhm.
what I did. This is here's some things that you're doing really well. Here's some
Mhm.
growth opportunities." And I always like to call it growth opportunities. And it comes up with things that I wouldn't have thought of. But a lot of
Right.
it's like, "Yeah, I would have thought of that eventually, but then
Eventually.
there's some things though, there's some things that you're going, well, maybe that's a really good idea. I wouldn't have probably thought of that because my
Mhm.
experiences wouldn't lend to that at that time. And so that's what people forget is like we lean on our experiences as a principal and a teacher to help other people get better. But I think it's helped me even broaden my ability to coach my teachers because there's things that I don't think of all the time that it was able to help me. And the teachers would take the
Mhm.
information and go, wow, those are really good ideas. And they would run with it. And so I've seen a lot of good success coaching up my teachers by
Mhm.
utilizing that appropriately. And of course, when it comes to policy, having something help quick reference something so you're not having to
Right.
flip through pages helps out as well. So those are some really good ways that I have done it. You've done it as well that I think are
Mhm.
practical for people out there to use.
Right. And so I just have one. I'm curious. I have one question. So you're prompting every single time you do that?
No, I have a prompt that I created
Right.
that
We're
that
going
I
we're going to talk
use.
after this, so I can make that even faster for you.
You're gonna make it even better for me? Oh,
Yes,
I'm ready
I'll make
to
it
learn.
even faster, even better.
Yeah, no, I've created a prompt to where I utilize that within my notes, my
Right.
low inference notes that I take
Mhm.
throughout the observation. And so I put those
Mhm.
2 things together and it helps me out. But if you got a better way, I'm all ears for
Oops.
sure. Oh, all right. So what are some misconceptions that educators may have about AI and using it?
I mean, there's so many. Are you, because I think you're on Threads too. So it's because sometimes
Yep.
that's, yeah. So I feel like that's where I see a lot of the misconceptions the most. And I think the biggest one is that like it like AI is going to replace educators, and it can never do that. Like it just can't. And I know we've seen like the AI robots and things like that, and we all know that that AI robot is not going to make it in a middle school classroom. It's not happening, you know? I think so. I think that's just like a really big misconception, is that AI is you basically here to undermine educators. I think that people just don't if somebody doesn't understand something and they don't know about something, that causes a lot of fear because of that uncertainty and that level of unknown that they have. So I know there's like environmental concerns around AI. That's not like my level of expertise, in my wheelhouse. But at this point, like, I think that we've gotten to a point now where AI really is just been integrated into a lot of the things that we use on a regular basis, like all the applications we use, and down to our email. It's everywhere. And I think that, I think just being conscious of how you're using it and how frequently you are using it. Like I use AI a lot, but there are some days where I don't use it at all. And there's some days where I may use it for a little bit. So I think just being like mindful of how you're using it and what you're using it for, for people who are conscious about the environment. I think that another misconception that people have is that it does not produce good information, because people will often refer to as slop, AI slop. I think that the you're going to get a better output based on what you input. So if you just give, like, a quick sentence, and you don't, once again, don't have those guardrails, you don't, specify what it's for, and then you don't give those very critical details, yeah, you're not going to get the best output. That's just, you get what you put into it. So I think that because people just have these misconceptions, they don't really realize how AI can really be an asset to what it is that, you're trying to do. Yeah. So those are some misconceptions that I've seen that, I know are, just misconceptions, because AI is becoming very new for some people. It's especially generative AI, because it's becoming more widely available for, general use. And so I always liken this movement in the new information age to one of the initial steps of commercial internet. Now, I don't know if you remember, like, commercial internet came, I want to say I was in middle school, maybe, when that was happening. And prior to that, when we had to do research, we had to use books. We had to go, get the Encyclopedia Britannicas and pull those out, and then write the note cards, and then go through that whole process of handwriting everything. And so when you were able to go on the internet and search for something, and you didn't have to go and look at a whole bunch of books, you didn't have to know, the Dewey Decimal System to research things. People were freaking out. Like, people were freaking out. They thought books were going to go away. They didn't think people were going to be able to research anymore. Librarians were freaking out because they thought that it was going to completely eliminate their jobs. And lo and behold, librarians have quite literally been, people who have been integral in teaching people how to use the internet to, in fact, research. So I think that, and we still have librarians, we still have books, people, and now we have databases that are online where more information is more widely available to you. I think that but initially the commercial internet was scary for people. And I think that's where we are with AI right now, is that now that this is more widely available to, the normal person, the average Joe, and because it's just so new, I think that we're just in another phase of the new information age.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey there, amazing educational leaders. If you're finding value in this podcast, learning new insights, getting inspired, or just nodding along thinking, yep, I needed that, then why keep it to yourself? Share this podcast with a colleague, a fellow school leader, or a teacher that is inspiring into leadership. Send them a link, post about it, or just casually drop, hey, you need this in your life, the next time you see them. Let's grow this community of game-changing educators together, because great leadership isn't a solo act, it's a movement. Now, back to the show. So I just was thinking about that. You talked about how AI is now kind of accessible to anybody and everybody now, right?
Right.
I've had parents this year send me emails that were generated through AI. Okay. I could pick it out real quick
Right.
because I'm like going, I know this parent. And some of the things they're throwing out, like, the wording and everything, I'm like, oh, they chat GPT this up.
Yep.
They did a little bit of research, they combined some things because they were making some good points. But I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you know? How do you know that? Like, and so it was kind of interesting that I've had some parents pull out the emails that they have developed because they want to make their point, which they
Right.
did. I was able to call them and we were able to work it out and talk
Mm-hmm.
through whatever it was. but I started smiling because I'm like, people are going to probably be able to say what they need to say better because they're going to have information they didn't have before. And
Right.
so I thought that was really interesting. Kind of when you talked about people can access that. And like for me, I utilize it to help polish things up for me. I'm not the
Right.
best reader in the world. I know what I
Mm-hmm.
want to say and how I want to say it, but I like it to maybe sound a little bit more professional than sometimes that I write. So I will utilize it, but it's still my words, and people have to remind people like it's still me. It's still the information that I'm trying to portray. I'm just portraying it in a more professional manner at times. Just because you need that sometimes when you're doing this job is to have that sense of professionalism when you're speaking to people and writing emails and making sure your tone is right and hoping people don't take it too one way or the other for sure
Right.
when it comes to that. So I wanted to share that with you. I didn't know. Did you have anything similar with parents utilizing it, sending emails?
Yes and no. Not really. I just talk to my parents. I call them on the phone. They don't really email too much. I just don't have I have parents that will kind of send messages on like Class Dojo, but then they'll just be like, "Can you call me?" Like we'll just talk about it. Because for the most part I have, good rapport with all of the families. So we'll just have like a conversation. But I really haven't had too many chat. I think I maybe had like one or two, but not many.
No, and I just thought it was interesting. Is like you said, it's becoming more available. People are learning
Mhm.
how to use, and then I have a student that follows me on my TikToks and my Instagram.
Mhm.
If I post anything with a AI generated image, it's
Uh-huh.
automatically quit using AI.
Using
Quit
AI,
using.
yeah. Mhm.
I was just like, I'm sorry. I'm like,
How
but I
come you
don't
can
use
use
it.
AI, but we can't? Yeah, that type of thing.
Yeah, like, yeah, well, yeah, they've done that too. Now we actually put in an AI policy just
Mhm.
because we want kids to learn how to use it appropriately, and so
Right.
we now have an AI policy. So we will help you use it appropriately, but you're not going to use it to do your work. It still
Right.
needs to be your work, but you got to be able to know when to use it, when not to use it, things like that. And so that's something that we updated in our handbook for next year, just
Mhm.
because I important to address, especially at a high school,
Yeah.
level where we're
Yeah.
trying to get these kids, to learn the information, and it has to be their work to learn it.
Right, but you also want them to be future ready, right? If you really think about it with the rise of AI, they're going to have to know how to use it because their employers are going to expect them to know how to use it. Employers right now expect people to know how to use generative AI.
Yep. And since your show that we had, almost 18 months ago, last January,
Yeah.
I actually got Magic School AI for my building. And
Oh,
so
nice.
but we're on the enterprise package, so all my teachers have been using it now for over a
Mhm.
year, and they love it. They're like, "Don't ever take this away."
Don't want to
But
take it. It is a good price too.
oh
It's
yeah,
a
I
good
got
price.
yeah, I got it on a good deal. Thanks
Mhm.
to you and mentioning that in the show that one day, I actually went out, researched it, I brought them in, trialed it, and then we've been, on it this whole year. And the teachers love it. The other buildings in the district are like jealous that they don't have it. And I'm telling my
Yep.
district, you want to pay for everybody, then I don't have to pay for it. But
Right.
uh, they're not quite ready for that. But our teachers are doing a really good job of teaching kids how to utilize AI in
Mhm.
the classroom when it's appropriate, when it's not appropriate. And that's kind of how we look at it as how can we teach kids to use it the right way? It's
Right.
going to be there. It's something they're going to have to do. And I always think of this, AI is not going to take your job as an educator because the kids are going to need that human connection. It's the people that know how to use
How to
AI are going
use
to do
it. Mhm.
I mean, that's the thing you got to think about is if you become more efficient because you know how to utilize things, become more efficient at your job,
Right.
you're gonna set yourself apart where other people may struggle because they are, hell bound not to use it. And I
Yep.
think there's a balance, like you said, there's got to be a balance to where you can't be everything for everybody all the time. But if you could find ways to streamline things to make your job easier, so you could focus on the important things, I think that's really important to know when you're
Right.
using it. So there's
Absolutely. Well, Right. First, magic school, call me. Secondly, because I talk to a lot of people about just different apps and things that I think are helpful to them. But like, I'm not sponsored. I'm not paid. It's not an ad. It's just like, hey, look, this is a great tool to use, and I'll just talk about it. But you're absolutely correct. Like, there's just a balance to everything. And I mean, at the end of the day, everybody has free will, and we know when people have free will, they can use it for good or they can use it for bad. Like, that's just really what it is. And people make their choices, but I think that you really do have to have a balance when using these tools. You don't want to become over reliant on them, but at the same time, like, we have a really we have a really demanding job. If you look at the corporate world, in the corporate world, they are not expected to manage 120 people. No manager manages that many people. They have direct reports that they're over those people, but like a manager, they at the max maybe have a team of 10, and you're talking to principals who have to manage buildings of 50 plus adults, and then kids, and then families. It's a lot. That is
Yep.
a lot to do. And then even with teachers are managing, kids, and then working with all these different families, and then working with the different curriculums and pacing guides and assessments and all. Like, we do a lot of work. And so if there are ways that we can streamline it so that, we don't burn out, then, let's do that.
Yeah, and I kind of see that's where I see it right now is I've had
Hmm.
staff members saying what I can do with this Magic School product and the tools I can use on it, it saved me hours of
Yes.
time that I used to have to do on my own. I could take this and I can scaffold it. I could take this and, get it to where, I could have the different versions created just because I have these tools now that I didn't have before. And, we have a pretty good size. I mean, we're probably close to 8 or 9% of my student population is EL, where they
Hmm.
come they don't know much English, so they try really hard. But even teachers that have them in class, they could utilize the tools to help those kids learn a lot more effectively than they did before because they didn't have something that could help translate or help the kids understand the things that they needed to understand. And so it's been really, really helpful for my staff. It's also helped them become more creative too. And that's something that
Yeah.
I've learned is like if I point to it as like, have you thought of this about it? Oh, let me go check, try some things out. They come back and report and go, hey, guess what I learned I can do? And now I'm going to use this more because I didn't realize I could do all this. I thought one of the coolest things I saw this year is our teacher that does basic cabinetry. And so these kids will create projects and they have to be able to, price the project, how much materials did it
Hmm.
cost, what do they need, what is it? He has utilized tools within Magic School AI for the kids to create, hey, here's the project I want to do. It will actually give them the steps. It'll actually give them, what steps they need to do for each day so they can pace it out. It also tells them the cost for it and it breaks it all down for them when they want to, like, hey, I want to build this shelf. This is what I want to do. They upload it to it. It spits all this information. It tells them what day they're on, when they're doing what, how they're going to do it, and they're utilizing it in their basic cabinetry class when they're doing their
Hmm.
little side projects. So I really think that's really cool to see how teachers are utilizing it, just not in core teaching, but also in our skill technical side as well.
Yeah, that's really cool.
All right. So we've kind of covered a lot of topics. Is there a new AI tool out there we don't know about that you may be able to shed some light on or something you're experimenting with that we don't know?
I'm trying to think. So, because I've been using so many different things.
Something you haven't
So I mean,
mentioned.
something I haven't mentioned yet. So I mentioned, like, having, creating apps. So, but one thing that people use every day, but they haven't really been using it with AI, and I'll do two. So one, using Canva code to create games. You can use Canva code to create games for students or even for your staff. I created like a data game. So when we're looking at and analyzing data, it's a game as opposed to just like, all right, who's in the highest, who's in the middle, low, the normal, conversations you have around data. So it's almost like a little board game. So I came up with the rules and things like that, and then I put it in the Canva code, and it designed the game, and so you could actually play it. So it coded the game. So like, or if you have like a game you want to like a review games for kids, you can put in the content that you want it to review with them, and you can say, hey, create a review game, based on this content. If students get the answer correct, when students input the answer, they can also provide them feedback as to whether it is right or wrong. And if it's wrong, why is it wrong? Things like that. And you can put it in Canva code, and then you just send the website, and you can put it like in Google Classroom or Canvas, and the kids can play the review game. And you can collect the data. They just added that feature where they have a data collection tool now. Before it wasn't, where you could like collect the data from them, interacting with that game that you created. So that's one. Another one, if you are interested, if you do have like an idea for an app, like you're one of those people like, I wish there was an app for, you know, the I don't know, like matcha drinks. I don't really know, but yeah, I don't drink matcha. I don't know why I thought about that. But if you wanted to create an app and you wanted to be able to describe what it is that you want the app to do, the purpose of the app, what the outputs are going to be, and then how it's supposed to function, you can totally vibe code those types of things. I know people are talking about using like, Claude Code for that. But Claude Code is definitely something that I think is more sophisticated. So something I think that's a little more user friendly is Bolt, BOLT. It is a coding app, but you can also vibe code apps and build them. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just listening.
Oh, so yeah, you can, and vibe coding means like, you're not exactly coding. You're describing what you want the code to be, and then AI interprets it and then creates the code for you. So those are two apps that I've been, well, I Canva, but people I don't think really know about like Canva AI and like Canva code. Like there's a lot of cool stuff that it does. But then also Bolt is is the app that, or a tool that I use quite frequently, especially for vibe coding apps and things of that nature.
If I know I messed around with Canva a little bit, and I've used some of their AI tools within
Hmm.
the things that I do with Canva. So there are some pretty cool things that they're doing in there. I haven't tried that one yet, so maybe I have to look into that
Hmm.
moving down or coming up. So Principal Mo, we've talked a lot about a lot of different things. When it
Yeah.
comes to education, what excites you about the future of education for educational leaders out there?
I think we are seeing a change in education. I mean, and not like in a way where we're getting like, an overhaul of policy or something like that, like, from the federal government where like, we had no left child left behind, and then now we have ESSA. I'm not talking about that. I think that for the longest time, especially if you've been in ed leadership pre-pandemic, I think people have been kind of chasing this idea that we are going to somehow get back to what it was like before the pandemic. And I think that we're kind of letting that idea go and reimagining what education could really look like, based on the information that we have now, based on our kids. Our kids are different. Some people say kids are the same. They're not. The kids are definitely different. And so I think we're really looking at how can we make education more engaging? How can we make school more desirable for kids to be at school, where they really want to be a part of a community where they feel seen, heard, valued, and cared for? I think that is what's really exciting about education now, because we're kind of getting out of the we're getting out of the just the status quo of what education has been, and making it into something even greater than what than what it has been before.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
All right, educational leaders. You know how we tell our students feedback makes us better? Well, same goes for this podcast. If you've been getting value from this podcast, please take 60 seconds to leave a quick 5-star review. This review isn't just a pat on the back, although I appreciate it. It helps other leaders find the show, join the conversation, and grow right along with us. More reviews equal more reach equal a stronger community of game-changing educators. So hit that review button, drop a few words, and let's keep making educational leadership better together. Now, back to the show. Hey man, I agree with you on that. I think education is starting to evolve even more. I
Yes.
really do think the factory style of education needs to go. Like
Yes.
I think we're starting to do things a little bit better and differently. Like I'll talk from my school
Hmm.
is, like you think of like going to high school like the traditional, you go in, you go to your classes, you do all the things, right? With everything that has happened over probably the last 7 to 8 years in education itself, we're just living in a different time. And my thing is I want to meet kids where they're at, and if it
Yes.
is to help, if they can do the traditional route, great, but not every kid may be able to do that because of situations or things that are going on with their life or personal things. And so we have done hybrid schedules, we have done traditional
Mm.
schedules, and we've done all online scheduling with our students. But it is very thought through. We have a process. So if a kid's going to do an all online high school setting, we call it our learning center. Some people call it it's not a high school. It's under
Right.
my umbrella of high school. It's an extension of us, but we have kids that's what they need. And so we go through a process and we decide as a leadership team, yep, this kid would be best suited to go to the learning center for the online curriculum, and they go through that. Now, some people don't like the online curriculum, but we're making decisions what's best for that kid. Now, there's some kids that are like, they do the hybrid model because like there's certain things they could do and then there's certain things they struggle with. And so we have a hybrid model with some kids and then we have our traditional model. So we actually kind of have three different models that we run throughout the year, and based on a kid's situation, we'll determine which model's the best. And we really started toying with that this year. It's something I've
Yeah.
thought about for a long time, but we're really like, yeah, let's do it. Our goal is to help these kids learn. We want to get them, the learning done so they can graduate and all those things.
Hmm.
And it's, our way of trying to meet people where they're at, help families where they're at, and help these kids where they're at with the whatever situation is going on. So those are some things that we have kind of shifted probably over the last year and a half at my high school to help kids learn. And so I don't know
That's
if you guys
nice.
have been doing
That's actually really innovative. Like, to think about like where school can exist, because right now school can exist almost anywhere if you really think about it.
That's true. I mean, it's one of those things where some people don't understand, like, our goal is to help kids learn, grow, and to help them get to that next stage of life.
Hmm.
And we want to make sure, yeah, we want to hold them accountable. We want to do all these things, but there's just circumstances that we have to work through with families and kids that people don't know about. And our whole goal is to make sure they're getting the quality education that they deserve. And we're going to do everything we can to help that. And it doesn't matter if, where you're at, we're just trying to help you meet your needs and move on from there. And we do, my high school is about 54% free and reduced. So we have a pretty high, low socioeconomic population within our community. And so, with that, there's just a lot of situations that we run into that some people may or may not see as much,
Hmm.
in their communities. But for us, we're trying to do what's best for our kids and our community, and it's worked really, really well. And it's really helped kids, continue to motivate them to come to school, because if they didn't have these other options, they may drop out on some of
Right.
these situations. So now with these options, we're keeping their rear end in the school so they can graduate. Because we have kids, I just want to get my GED. I'm like, well, you'll be about 21 when you're done. Like, you might as
Yeah.
well just stay here
Just
and
get it done now.
let us help you. Because they don't understand GED only works a certain way, and they won't let you
Right.
sit for the GED until you've developed all the skills you need. So if you're going to try to go get your GED at 17, you may not be done as fast as you think you are.
Right.
There you go on that end. So yeah, there's some things that we're trying to. I kind of like look at school differently and what we're trying to do, because the traditional factory model doesn't work for everybody,
Right.
and that's just the way it is. And the thing is like, we have more people working from home than we ever had before. Like, that's kind of crazy. People think about, we have all these job openings. Well, that's because people are able to make money other ways that we've never been able to before as well. And
Correct.
so
There's a lot of
that's
industries
another
that
thing.
exist now that didn't exist before.
And guess what? There's going to be more coming out.
Right.
Like, our world's always evolved, and there's always going to be that same. And we're like the frontier that has to figure that out on the fly, right? We're trying to figure.
Correct.
We're teaching kids, to be ready for jobs that don't even exist yet, right? We're
Right.
like, we don't know what's out there. We're trying our best though, when it comes down to it. But yeah, all right, Principal Mo, this has been fun. I really appreciate you coming back on, just telling us your experience, all the awesome stuff that you're doing. If people wanted to connect with you, I know you have your website now. Got a
Yes,
website.
I
We'll
do.
make
I didn't
sure.
have a website the last time I talked to you.
You do now. You do now, right? You're moving up. All right, but you have a website. So how could people connect with you? If they want to learn more about your work and maybe get you to come speak for them with them and all these fun things that you got going on.
Yes. So I can be found at www.principalmo.com. And my handle on all social media platforms is principal_mo.
First of all, it was great having you on the show again. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
Yeah, I wrote a book since the last time we talked too.
Ooh, tell me more.
So the book is called Educating Ain't Easy. So it is about leading, teaching, and thriving in today's schools, and it's a book about the realities of education and how, as leaders and as teachers, it's okay to be human. And there are very practical strategies in there. It's not like this motivational book. It's not about theory. It's all about like the real grind of education and doing the work.
You bet. Now, what is that? Is that book already out?
It's not out yet. You're
Okay.
like the first
All
person
right.
I'm like really talking to about it. That's how special you are, JR.
Oh, sweet.
JL. Yeah.
Well, it
But
might be one
I
of those
don't have a
things I'm gonna
date
make
yet,
sure.
but
Okay.
I'm hoping to have a date soon.
So when it does come out, I want to make sure I connect that book to this episode down in the show notes. And so you're
Hmm.
gonna have to keep me up to date on that, but I'll also
I
post
will.
about it. I know you're going. I'll be sharing the post too. So that'd be awesome. Well, congratulations on the book. You made like speaker,
Thank you.
author, movie star. I mean, you got it. Like, you're like the quadruple threat. DJ. I mean, you got it all. You got like the full package here, Principal Mo. And if people didn't know, I used to DJ. I'm not the DJ you are, but I used to do weddings and proms and all that stuff.
Oh, nice.
But I'm not quite the, at your level. I could say I just know how to play music and get do icebreakers and stuff. So, Principal
That's so
Bo, this
fun
has been a
though.
lot of fun. I I enjoy having you back on the show, and of course, we're gonna have to do this again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, JL. Appreciate you.
What a conversation with Principal Mo. Man, that was awesome. I really enjoyed catching up with her and hearing all the awesome things that she's been up to. If you really enjoy this episode, I would encourage you to share it with somebody who needs to hear it. I'd also love for you to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss another awesome episode like this one. Also, love to hear from you. Please give me a holler either on my social medias at Principal JL, or you can also text me through the send me a message button down in the show notes. So I hope to hear from you, and I hope you guys had a really good time listening to this episode. Until next time, be curious and 1% better. Thank you for sticking around to the very end of this episode. I hope this podcast brings value to you as an educational leader. I would invite you to share this podcast with other educational leaders, or maybe that inspiring teacher who would like to be an educational leader someday. I would also invite you to subscribe and to follow this podcast so you can get the most recent updated episodes when they drop. I would also love it if you leave a review and rate this podcast 5 stars, because that would make this podcast more discoverable to other educators like yourself. You can also follow me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, Threads, and Substack. All you need to do is look for Principal JO, and boom, there I am. This is where we can continue the conversations from the episodes that you have enjoyed. I am so thankful for you guys for listening. Until next time, always be 1% better.